in that movie, The Secret. We saw it in that movie, and it's supposed to happen. It's a promise almost that if our consciousness is big enough, then we're going to bring people in. Now, the damaging thing about that experience is when we don't bring people in, we also believe it's our consciousness. And I'm going to say, and know that I'm not going to go up in smoke right here, that there's nothing wrong with your consciousness, generally speaking. Is it something you don't know because you don't have a piece of knowledge, like a toes? Is it something you haven't had experience with, like networking at the Chamber of Commerce? Is it as simple as something, a piece of knowledge or an activity? And instead of us going to those places, we tend to blame it on our consciousness, and it must be our consciousness. And so then there's a problem with us. And then that creates what we call a mental equivalent. Okay, and then it spirals, and it spirals down, and we have a belief system, and I don't need to tell you where this travels. We've seen it, and maybe we've experienced some level of it ourselves. So here we go. This is why threat is hard, because threat is external. So in order to know what's going on in the outside world, that could be a threat to your community, you have to know what's going on in the outside world. And if you have not shaken hands with the mayor of your town or city, if you're not a member of the Interfaith Council, if you're not out at the Chamber of Commerce, or someone in your leadership group is representing your organization at the Chamber of Commerce, for instance, these are just, I'm throwing these out, like pick places and put your own spin on them, then you won't know as a community leader if something's happening politically or legislatively, which is going to impact your area, even zoning. You know, you're not going to know if there's like a big group coming to town or not coming to town, or there's a company leaving because you're not part of the Chamber of Commerce. You're not going to know if Unity or the Baptist down the street is doing a big congregational drive and giving out a free dinner for everyone who comes on Sunday, because you're not in the Interfaith Council and you haven't seen the events. Okay, so I'm just going to let that land for a moment. With me, the threats are outside. Okay, and we can't deal with them if we don't know them. Okay, so this is why the T is hard. The W, because we're inside, our weaknesses. Were we able to talk about our weaknesses? This isn't going right, this isn't going right, this isn't going right. Okay, so the combination of the strategic goals that I had you put on a sheet, just an idea of like, I'd like to do this. Those were your first blush at things. Now you've looked at what the real threats are, and you're going to continue to kind of look at now after tonight, what are my threats, and maybe talk to a few people. Like this program is great. Okay, Leslie, we'll see in a bit. This program here is great, that you can get with other people and you can take what we're learning and bring it to your board. Go do this, what we did tonight, with your board. Do a toast. Do it with your group. You know, whatever you'd like to do with that. And then that way you can get more information and get a more comprehensive look at things. And then if you're looking at your weaknesses and your threats, and you're looking at your strategic goals that you were thinking, hey, if I'm going to do a 3-year or a 5-year strategic plan at my center, these are the things I want to do. Now the question you can ask yourself is, are the things you want to do going to remedy the threats and the weaknesses? You see how now we have a logic built in there, right? We were on a little bit of a journey, okay? So I'm going to introduce you to a scary document. Get ready, like get your, your big adult pants on. And we're going to look at this document, and I'm going to send you this document after our time together. And you can take what you've done, if you've done your strategic goals and your T's and your W's, and begin to think about, if we were going to focus on a few things in the next 2-3 years, these are the things I'd like to focus on that I think could remedy some of those things and move the dial a little bit. So I'm going to give you a way to filter whether these activities or initiatives or projects or ideas, the things you want to do, should land in your strategic plan or not. So let me talk to you about that. First, I'm going to share, and then I'm going to give you this scary document. Okay. Now that I've set it up as a scary document, it's not so scary, you see. So you would have seen this strategic goal document, really, really simple. So a strategic goal might be to create a podcast for my center. And the measure of success is that we have a functioning monthly podcast that 50 people are listening to month over month after 6 months. So that would be an example of a goal there. And when I put the measure of success always having to be metrics, like there's an increase or a decrease, it involves a dollar value, it involves a number of something, it involves a percentage. So this is how you're going to be really specific about what you want to do. Here is how you're going to filter your goals. Here's how you're going to filter whether your goals, the things you want to get done, should stay in your strategic plan or not. When you list your goals, the things you want to have happen, these goals are going to do one of three things. And maybe from things you're thinking of right now in your T&W list, you already know that some of these are going to solve issues that exist. They're going to expand. So they're going to make something better that already exists, or grow something that already exists. Like you have a youth program and you want to put some emphasis on it so that in 18 months it looks like this. That's an expansion. Solve might be we don't have monthly communication, so we're going to do this, a monthly newsletter. Invite is a brand new thing. So I'm going to put a couple things in here, like now I'm going to go join the Chamber of Commerce or the Interfaith Council, for instance. So you might be inviting some new stuff in. Okay. Maybe going to your own group and doing this toes would be something too. So here's our scary sheet. It's coming up. This is the prelude to the scary sheet. It has 5 things going on. You don't need to document them. They're going to show up on your scary sheet. But here's what the scary sheet's going to do. It's going to allow you spend a little time with it. Call me for a coaching session if you want to use one at this time. This is a really good time. How you'll know if you should use it is if you know you're going to want to put a strategic plan in the next 3 to 6 months, let's use a coaching session. And if you think a strategic plan is something that's going to happen in 2019 or 20 in your community, table what you do in the next little while with the strategic plan. Just put it on a table, on a shelf, virtually. And then when we get to that place, use the coaching session then, okay? So your strategic plan sheet I'm going to give you is going to do 5 things. You're going to review your goals. Then you're going to prioritize. These are A, B, C's, you know, and you can come up with what A, B, and C means. For me, A means low-hanging fruit. I can do it right now. Okay? It's like simple. It's right there. B means I'm going to have a conversation, tell another person, get approvals, buy something. Make a plan, have a meeting. That's kind of a B. C for me is like, okay, this is going to take some strategy. We're going to have to sit down, and it might even be like a next year thing because I'm going to have fun doing the A's and getting people involved in the B's. This is kind of a C. It's important enough to stay on my strategic plan, but I'll look at it in 6 months. That's my version of ABC. You can have your own version of ABC. Designate teams. So for these initiatives, who should be the person to go to the Interfaith Council? Who should be the person to create the newsletter, the podcast? And then consider your resources. Got them? Need them. And then let's look at a target date. So I'm going to join the Chamber of Commerce in January. We're going to have our first newsletter go out in February. We're going to do a recruitment drive in May. So go ahead and don't worry. You're not like married, committed to these. Like it's just a place to start right now. This is the scary sheet. It's not so scary, right? Not so scary. So step 1 here, when you look at that strategic goal sheet that I've given you, and now you're so much more learned, you've done the toes, you've had some conversations, you looked at how you could make these tangible, so you know there's a time or money or something attached to it, there's a reason to do it. When you combine all of that, we're going to call these a strategic initiative, like a newsletter or a podcast is a strategic initiative. So you're going to put those there. I'm going to give you up to 5 because that's like enough to do right now since you don't have a strategic plan. 5 is good. And know in your mind whether you're solving, expanding, or inviting. Prioritize the ABC, put your team lead, your team members. This can all change. Just get it out. Resources. What do we need for this that's on hand and what are we going to have to get? And resources can be people or purchases. Okay, and then a desired completion date. Not so scary, right? Okay, I'm sending this to you. Here's your homework. I told you to do your values exercise and do T. Do it again as if it was the perspective of your community. And then look around. We're going to start looking at organizational design next time. So look around to see if you notice what other organizations are doing, what other spiritual communities are doing for their mission statement. What does it look like they're doing for their design? How do they run their show? We're going to start to begin to think about that, okay? And when you're looking at your strategic initiatives and you're looking at, now I'm going to do the strategic plan, is it going to ask something differently of the setup of my community? Because that's where we're going to go with this. And so we're going to consider all the good work that you've done so far. So I think you can see how it builds on each other. And that's it. That wasn't so scary, right? Okay, no, not so, no, don't, okay. I don't even love spreadsheets. That wasn't scary.
Yeah. Actually, it's awesome to have a plan like that.
Yes.
I'm happy.
And some people are super happy with that, and some people are like, that looks like a spreadsheet to me, Sonia. What are you doing to us? That's like the most complex thing you're going to see, okay? So I think that is it for tonight, but I want to allow anyone who has a question for me to stay on, or if there's a comment, or I want to make sure people are prepared. What I'd like you to do is the person you were with during the pairs, that's going to be your person between now and next time. So if you have something that you would you need to run by or take a look at, then go ahead and do that. I think Jeffrey and Tammy, I'm going to put Alan with you because he wasn't here tonight. And how about Karen and Cassandra? I'm going to put Laura with you. Okay, I'm just going to add her in so that she'll have someone who's been there. Okay. Okay. Well, here we are. How's everyone feeling?
Great.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Just about the right amount of information, and then now go do.
Yeah, we can stop here, right? Would anyone like a little pray out here to round us down? Okay. How about we just do that? We'll just breathe, because that was kind of a big sheet. It was kind of, Okay, so let's do a little breath. Let's take a breath in. Let's release that breath, knowing that everything here tonight is all part of one grand design. And this one grand design is in support of our success, and only ever. And as we are these successful beings moving through this opportunity, after all, we're here. And we want good things, and we're making them happen. And so as we round down our time together, knowing that we are at the right amount of fullness and feeling like we're getting our money's worth, then I know that we're grateful and we can let this thing go. And so it is. I want people to feel like they're getting their money's worth. When we were on Practitioner Business and Branding last night, they were a little bit, because they did the colors and fonts and stuff, and they're afraid now. And so I said to them, well, you wouldn't be getting your money's worth if you weren't a little afraid. We need you to know that you're getting your money's worth. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. So helpful. Love the tools that you're sharing with us. They're just so timely. So timely for us here. So thank you so much.
Well, feel free to use them with your group. And, this is part of like the full-on strategic plans that I do with people over months. So I've actually condensed a lot of it down for just your use. So if it's feeling a little bit big, then let's use a coaching session for that. And if you just want to carry on and see where the next thing takes you and then decide on a coaching session, whatever you want to do. But I think it'll be about what's happening at your center. If you need the help right now, let's do it. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. How about we call it done then?